Travelers, how are you? Marcello from Wandering Trader. Today we're going to be talking about the things you need to know before visiting Cancun. First, I want to show you this amazing place that we're staying at. So this is called Hacienda Puerta Campeche. It's actually on the other side of Cancun. So if you think of the Yucatán Peninsula, Cancun is over here somewhere. We're like here on the other coast. Beautiful pillars. You can see they just redid the entire thing. It's an old. So you know, as most cities in the past, they were kind of within walls, right? So this is the actual house where the security stayed, guarding the wall where they came into the city. The one really cool thing is the pool. So they literally converted the demolished, I guess you could say, the demolished part of the old property into a pool. Literally goes into every single room, which is amazing. There's a waterfall over here is beautiful as well. It's a cute little patio. It's absolutely beautiful. And now, let me show you guys the hammock. I would recommend that you guys put clothes that are allowed to get wet when you try to get into the hammock, because I had quite a bit of a challenge trying to get out of the hammock, even though I still got wet. But it's absolutely beautiful. There's the amazing view. Should we show them the room? The room is pretty big, right? Yeah, let me show you guys the room as well. So this place costs, I think I spent so anywhere between $170 to $250 a day, depending what kind of fancy room you get. This is the room that we got, which is pretty nice. I think it's kind of dark. Go ahead, come in. We didn't make the bed, but you know, standard. You have the bed, super old school. That's really the part that's really cool. So you have everything open. The showers over here. The toilet, the sanitario, I don't know how you say it in English, you know, where you go, is over here. And then this is actually pretty cool, the bathroom. The I don't know what you call this in English, but you know, the sinks is all outside. It's really beautiful. I just wanted to come in and get some AC because it's fuming outside. So we'll go back outside and I'll show you, we'll start going through some of the things that you need to know before visiting Cancun. First thing, Uber doesn't work here. So I've been traveling around quite a bit. You go to the little taxi stands, you know, you'll pay for your taxi. They'll try to get you to pay for the return trip for like 40% off or whatever they say it is. And then you'll arrive at your destination. One question that everybody always asks me a lot of times as I unlock Kat's phone so I could use it for my notes is it dangerous here, right? There's a ton of news. There's a ton of bad press for Mexico. Kat, who's actually helping me record, she did a video with me about the things to know before visiting Mexico City and the best thing to do in Mexico City. And Kat, you've been living in Mexico City, no problems, right?
No problems, I'm still alive.
She's white, blonde hair, blue-eyed, like typical kidnap material, and nothing. So it is not dangerous here at all. We just drove from Cancun to Merida and then Merida to Campeche, which is basically, I think it's backwards, right? So it's Cancun's over here, we drove to Merida, and then we drove down to Campeche. Roads were great, no problems, a few police roadblocks along the way, but other than that, completely fine. The lights don't work, they don't seem to like lights at the interstates, but other than that, super fine, super safe. I wouldn't even worry about it at all. I wouldn't even bring it up. I've been to I've been to Mexico so many times, and I'll go a little bit further and say that, you know, Mexico as a whole, I don't think is that dangerous. It's really, there's a few hot spots, and if you guys are coming here for tourism, you're not going to really go to those hot spots, so I wouldn't worry about anything like that at all here in Cancun. Maybe some petty theft, like, you know, stealing cell phones or cash or things like that, but anything like that, I would say I've never had an issue here. Kat's never had an issue, so definitely don't have to worry about it being dangerous. I mentioned Uber doesn't work. The best time to visit, so the cheapest time, I'm here right now, this is May, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, May. We're at the end of May, so this is the beginning of the really, really hot season, and there's not a lot of people here. In the Cancun airport, literally no lines, so I would actually recommend May. There's still blue skies. There's not really, all the days that we were here are pretty good. A lot of people would recommend, if you want to come to the cheapest time, right, if you want to save money, you're looking at September, November. And that's the rainy season also, so keep that in mind, especially September and October. And the high season is actually the spring break, which I'm not mistaken is in March. So that's actually the top season. Now, one of the biggest misconceptions that I had about Cancun, and one of the reasons why I never ever wanted to visit Cancun, was because I always thought it was just like a massive party fest. Right, all I imagined was alcohol and beer on the beach. That's all I imagined. And the first time I came here for one of the events, because you guys know I teach people how to trade, so we have traders all over the world, and I actually realized that there's actually a lot more to do in Cancun rather than just drinking and partying. Now, if you want to come for that, be my guest. But there's actually a lot more things to do as well. The great beaches, great diving, you know, that obviously is a given. Great boutique hotels, but there's a ton of actual history to see, a ton of actually other things that you can do and see here that I'm going to go ahead and talk about. Don't drink the water. That's something that everybody recommended to me, including everybody here at the hotel. So keep that in mind. Don't drink the water, and make sure that the ice that they give you is purified. So basically what you want to make sure is that the ice cube has a, well, I'm not going to do this in video, but make sure that there's a hole inside, and then that way you know that it's purified, or just ask to make sure that it's purified. The distances here are pretty significant, so depending on where you're going to want to go, I would actually recommend renting a car, because you can take the bus anywhere for the most part. It's pretty cheap, but the majority of time, if you don't rent a car, if you get a tour bus to pick you up, or you get the hotel to pick you up, you're actually going to have to pay for a tour everywhere you go. So you can actually do most things on your own, and I would actually highly recommend renting a car. For Chichen Itza, which is one of the most popular things to see here that most people come here to see. It's about 2.5 hours from Cancun. If you're further out on the beach, or if you're Tulum, it might take you a little bit longer. Tulum is a little bit further south of Cancun. There's actually a lot more other Mayan ruins to see. You have Chichen Itza, which is the most popular one. You have one called Uxmal, and you also have one called Ekbalam, and another one called Koba. So if you guys are going to come and you like ruins or you like history, definitely check out some of those other things. I'll list some of them here on the video so you guys can take a look at them. I'll share with some of you guys as well some of the drone footage that I got in some of those places, including here in the hotel, which is great. There's if you're going to go to Chichen Itza, there's other places along the way that I would highly recommend. So there's a lot of caves here in the Yucatan because of the geological structure here. So there's actually all of these caves with water called cenotes. I would highly recommend you guys. I'm not going to recommend any because it depends on what you guys like to see, but I would highly recommend you guys go and see some of the cenotes. There's actually a few by Chichen Itza, and there's a few pueblos, a few small towns that I would actually recommend near Mérida, which is about 3 hours, right, Kat? 3 hours? 3 hours from Cancun, driving west. Is a little town called Izmal, which is a beautiful little yellow covered town, which is absolutely beautiful. And also another one called, I don't have it here, but I'll find it for you guys. It's where one of the cenotes is. It starts with a V. I'll find, I forgot the name, but I'll make sure that I get that for you guys. Other than that, so you can choose a resort to go to and just stay in the resort, but I would highly recommend, as I mentioned, renting a car and kind of going out and exploring. Super safe. Most things around the Yucatan or around the area are going to take you about 2 or 3 hours to be able to visit. So Chichen Itza, 2 or 3 hours. If you're going to go from Cancun to Tulum, Tulum for me is one of the greatest places because it's kind of a, let's call it like a little hipster place where they have really nice boutique hotels, really nice little cafes on the water. I loved it. There's a boutique luxury hotel called Azulik, A-Z-U-L-I-K. I'll put it on the video. It is incredible. It is a natural, eco-friendly resort that they built on top of the beach, essentially, right? So if this is a beach over here, then you have kind of a bunch of palm trees, and think of like a palm tree forest, and they built the entire resort on top of that. So they literally lifted it probably 20 feet in the air. That's probably a solid 5-10 meters. And so literally where you're walking is on the top of the palm trees, and it is just spectacular, right? This is where we put in the drone footage now. So other than that, I would recommend there's a park called Xcaret. This is a natural, eco-friendly park that's built on part of where part of the Mayan ruins are. So you actually can go there to see the Mayan ruins. You can sit down and see all kinds of animals. They have it's a water park as well, so you can literally sit down in the water park and put on a life vest and just kind of travel around in a circle. Super, super interesting. Kat, you've been, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely great. I'll show you guys the drone footage of that as well. If you're going to pay for things here, the majority of the things you're going to pay for, we went to several gas stations that didn't accept credit cards, especially credit cards from overseas. So I would recommend changing money somewhere, but the best way that you can get the exchange rate is going to be taking money out of an ATM. If you're from the US and you're here, make sure that they always charge you in the local currency, not Mexican pesos. If you're, from what I understand, foreigners, some of you guys that are from Canada or Australia or Europe can help me out with this in the comments below. Always choose your local currency. So choose, if you're from Canada, choose Canadian dollars. Whereas in the US, it's actually backwards. But for everybody in the US, go out and get a Capital One bank account or not Chase, one of the brokerage firms. There's a lot of banking accounts now that you can use where you withdraw and there are no fees. So best thing to do, use your credit card whenever you can. Go and open up a credit card like the Chase Sapphire card, which doesn't charge any foreign conversion fees, and always make sure that you get the exchange at an ATM or you get an exchange like at an official location, not bringing dollars and exchanging them at the airport, because it's the absolute worst exchange you could ever get on the planet. All right. Other than that, if you do want to go out and party, I highly recommend Coco Bongo. It's absolutely amazing. I went one time with my friend Raquel. It was super, super impressive. Picture a club where you're dancing and then out of nowhere they do like a Spider-Man, Batman flying in the air scene. Then you keep dancing. Then after that they stop and they do like Moulin Rouge. It's super, super, super nice. Other than that, am I missing anything, Kat?
No.
I think that's all I have for you guys for the things to know for before visiting Cancun. Bring a lot of sunscreen. If you guys believe in that, I don't, but you know, the sun is strong. Either bring protection or sunscreen, whatever you can. It's super, super hot. May, I would say, is a good time to come because it's not that hot, even though it's super, super humid. Obviously, the summer, July, August is the absolute worst. So let me know if you guys have any questions. If you guys have anything that I missed, maybe put them down in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe. I haven't done one of these videos in a long time, so you have to apologize. But other than that, you guys have a great one, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Ciao.